Welcome back, slot car fans, to video 2 of the motor replacement series. We are replacing the motor in this AGM Mercedes cop car. This is the one used in the previous videos that I ran until I burned it up with 24 volts. Now, as you saw in the previous video, I was having to wrestle with getting the capacitor out of the old motor, and I don't know if you can see it, but I literally first off, I was using too big of a soldering iron, but you know, that's always nice for uninstallations because you can use more power. But in this instance, I pretty much melted the motor trying to get that stuff out of there, but who cares? It's a throwaway anyway. It's no good. We're tossing this motor in the trash once we're done. But I kept it here to show you so you can see how much I melted. It's kind of funny, but I did manage to get this capacitor out of there. And we're going to reuse this thing. I may have cooked it anyway. It may not even be any good, but I'm just going to go through the motions. So now we're going to line up these two motors, the old one and the new one, and kind of look at the differences. They pretty much look the same, or almost identical. Shafts are real similar length. This one just has extra shaft sticking out, so I'm not concerned with that. Now my next step here is going to be to scrape this area right here. You can see where the old capacitor's extra long lead was soldered to the side here as a ground. And I think that's mostly just to reduce radio interference or to keep it from picking up interference. So we're going to, we want to scrape this spot right here to make a good spot for the solder to stick. And I guess we're just going to use this screwdriver from the screwdriver set. And I'm going to scrape right in here pretty good. I'll try to get it back on camera so you can see what I'm doing. I'm going to scrape right where I marked it in black, because that's right where that stuff's going to want to solder to. This makes a huge difference. If you re-scrape this stuff before you solder to it, the solder will stick much better. You can also use a file, a scraper. I mean, you can use just about anything. I'm just using this because it's what I had handy when I was trying to do this video. So we're going to use this screwdriver, and I think that's probably pretty good. Now the next step, we want to tin this thing, and I put a little solder into that spot ahead of time for the wire to stick to. And I'm still using this soldering iron. Once again, this one is too big for this job, but well, it's probably not too big for this job, but it's too big for the overall job. And we're going to just heat this up right here and put get the little solder flow. There we go. You want to try not to overheat this stuff. Try to do it as quick as you can, especially on some of these instances. Now, our capacitor just came up through this hole in the old motor, and then it bent down and soldered right there, and soldered right here to this tab, and soldered over here to this tab. Now normally, in a lot of instances, you would pre-tin this stuff, but because these are tiny little wires that we're dealing with here, and we have to really get them all in the right position to start with, I am not going to pre-tin it. I'm going to put the wires in the holes, and just try to bend them over a little bit to hold them in once I get them there. Since I'm reusing this old capacitor, these wires are all covered with solder and stuff, so they don't really want to bend all that well. But you can do it. It's not that big of a deal. You just work it a little bit and get it all into position. So now I have the capacitor kind of positioned where the old one was. So that's a good thing. We're about 3/4 of the way there.